Welcome to Broadcast Team Alpha, the podcast where cutting edge conversation meets quantum exploration. I'm Nori. Our co host is Augie Nost. He's going to tell us about our amazing guests shortly. But I just want to remind you we are here to have fun and to explore, but we're also here to stretch minds and shift realities and dive deep into the mysteries of what's truly possible. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're a seasoned seeker or just starting to question the matrix. We're glad you're here. Don't forget, we've got a powerful manifestation group that is brewing up miracles on Sundays. You can send an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Augie will send you the link. You can come meet us on Sunday and see some of the incredible manifestations that have happened and are happening. Also, want to do a shout out to our friends over at the Conscious Awakening Network. Sheila and her crew over there are just remarkable, and their technology has taken them beyond being confined and restricted. So you can go over there and watch the shows that are in the vault, and you will hear the straight truth, the true disclosure, as if you will. So, without any more from me, Augie, please tell us about our fabulous guest.
Yes, I'll be a delight to do so. We have two guests with us, and this show will literally take you off planet. So hang in there with us to the end, because you know how it is. We always save the good stuff to the very end, so stay with us. And yes, we have Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran with us. Preston, well, he's probably one of the sharpest researchers when it comes to UFOs and people that has been on UFOs and come back and talked about it. And he is well known on the speaking circuit, and he's written 32 books. Can you imagine? 32 books? God. And also, these books are many of them on first-hand accounts of people who have had encounters with extraterrestrials and UFOs and been on the ship. So that's probably how you know him. And also, he is an astral traveler, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And then we have Dolly Safran. She has been a contactee from a very, very early age. In fact, her father was also a contactee, and she is also an astral traveler. And I am a Noriar, so this is going to go deep and far, far out, literally. So welcome to the show, Dolly and Preston.
Welcome, thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
So
Yeah,
glad you're here.
I want to say something about astral travel first, because this is a concept that you can talk to people about it and their eyes glaze over and they stumble away from you, saying to themselves that they'll never talk to you again. But there is some science behind this. There is proven by experiments, in fact, the noetic sciences. There's an astronaut running that program. They did experiments with it. They proved that it is real. They also the Health Math Research Center in California. They have done experiments with it, and it worked. They came back with information that was accurate by leaving the body, going somewhere, looking at something, and coming back with information there is no way for them to know otherwise than having left the body, gone there and have a look at it and come back. So open your mind up a little bit, because this is going to be literally far out there. But I think when you're done listening to all this, you're going to have a big smile on your face and you're going to tell yourself, self, I want to try this. What do you think?
Oh
Agree.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone
Yeah.
can do
Yeah.
it.
Let's do. And we were talking before the show about the expansive places where Dolly and Preston, they'll tell us about where they've gone. But back when I tried it, I was like 16, 15, 16. So I would go, I wasn't thinking in terms of, the way that we think now. So I would end up, in Brooklyn, or I did end up in some kind of a desert outdoor market. And I was so excited because I was only 16, but I got to see my favorite aunt ever, 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 who had passed away a couple of years before that. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, but I had a bad experience, couldn't get back in, or something happened. And I woke up the next morning, I threw my books away. So maybe if somewhere in our conversation you can kind of review the basics, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
that's important to do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I started astral projecting basically literally about the age of 4 or 5. And
Wow.
I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing, but I didn't realize it's hard when you're a kid. You don't have vocabulary or experience enough to explain to yourself what's going on. You just accept it for what it is and you do it. And it drove my family crazy. My mom, when I was sleepwalking at first, but I was always in my room when they checked on me. They couldn't understand what was happening. And uh, I started talking about things that people were doing in the house at night, late at night, and I was in my room. And by the time I was 9, I think I had it down. I knew what was going on. And so it just went from there. Uh, I never, ever, ever thought to teach this to anybody. I just thought it was something I knew how to do. And I thought if you knew how to do it, you knew. And if you didn't, you didn't. And then I met Preston and I realized that, oh my God, he really knows how to do this. And then I heard his story and I thought, okay, here's somebody who can actually teach this stuff to people because dead up, he really knew what he was doing with it, exactly what he was doing. He had more command of the methodology of it than I do. When I explain it, it's sometimes a little, I get a little twisted trying to tell people exactly how you do it. I have a whole lifetime of it, and it's just hard for me to stick down to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things to get you on the road. And Preston he does. Um, it's really weird. His experiences flummoxed me at first because I used to think that it was individual, that nobody else would have the same experience as me. And I realized, no, that's not true. Yes, we do. That there are actual places that we go outside of
Hmm.
our body that are the same. They are actual places that you can go. And that blew my mind. That I had to learn from him, and when we started talking about it, it absolutely blew my mind. Oh, yes, there are cool, cool places in the upper realms. And then he started talking about the lower realms. And I was like, yay, let's go.
I,
Yeah.
I had to learn this the hard way because I never even knew about it until, let's see, I was about 21 years old or so and picked up Robert Monroe's book. And if you know about out of body experiences, you know about Robert Monroe. He wrote 3 books on this subject. Let me see, Journeys Out of the Body, Far Journeys, and The Ultimate Journey. And his first book was amazing. I mean, he got really good at this. Had a guide who led him all over the universe and gave directions on how to do it. Thought, well,
Hmm.
anyone can do this. I'm going to give it a try. And I did his exercises. Going out of the body is, we have a physical body, and then you have an astral body. People call it the dream body, the occult body, the desire body. It goes by different names. But in a simple form, we have the physical body and a non-physical body. And I think that's simplifying it because really it's one and the same organism. But he gave these exercises on how to relax, basically visualizations, affirmations, and it worked. It took me about a month and 3 weeks of doing
Yeah,
these exercises.
that's about
And
right.
yeah, and I buckled down. I really doubled down on this and did meditations for about an hour a day. had my first OBE one day when I just laid down. I was a little depressed. My mom had died and there was a lot going on. Found out UFOs were real. So I was in a real period of adjustment at this time and suddenly felt the vibratory state, which you guys all know what that is. But for those who don't, you kind of feel this mild to really heavy duty vibration, almost like an electrical shock. And that means you're ready. And I popped out of my body. And I flew across my room into the bathroom and I grabbed the countertop. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's real. There is life after death. All of this is completely real. I was so happy. I was so happy it pulled me right back into my body, and did it the next weekend. And pretty much every weekend after that, I would sleep a little later than normal. And I learned how to do it bit by bit. It was a tough journey because I could only stay out for a minute or two, or not even a couple of seconds. I get so excited. I go, wow, I'm out. And then whoosh, right back in. So I had to calm down. Then I had to learn how to see, how to move. Took me a year to learn how to get out of my room and walk through walls and fly up around. And that was how it all started for me.
So, Preston, is the challenge because we try to do it with our brain, and is that what pulls us back into the body? Dolly's giving me.
I think there's a few obstacles for people. One is that you don't think you can do it.
Yeah.
People are skeptical and they don't even try. Another is putting forth the effort. People are lazy. Another is fear. That's a huge obstacle. People are like, "Ooh, that sounds scary." It is scary for some people. For me, it really wasn't. Only once or twice did I have anything that was remotely scary. But yeah, I think when you pop out, the emotions come at you so hard, and it can be fear and it feels like a horror movie, or it can be excitement. And it's called the desire body for a reason, or the emotional body, because I think that everything you've suppressed is suddenly let loose. And so, yeah, I think it can be a challenge in the beginning because all the emotions come flying out full force.
Yeah, just remember also that just the fact that you leave the body, you cannot get hurt out there because there is nothing physical out there to be hurt. So first time I got out, oh man, it scared the daylight out of me. And I thought, oh no, I saw myself in the bed and I said, oh no, did I die? And that brought me right back in the body. And from there on, I had to get rid of this fear because this, decades ago, I was still a little nervous about it, but I kept doing it. And once you see that, hey, I can go somewhere and come back, I can look at things, and I start traveling around the country. And I ended up later on, I'll tell you, I went and I saw bases up there. And there are on the other side, there is mining operations, huge mining operations. And there is cities, towns. And the funny part is that you don't have roads between them because they don't use vehicles as we do. Everything is by levitation. So there is a whole world out there, folks. Have a sniff at it. You're gonna like it.
Yeah, it completely changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was really little, my very first OBE was a weird situation. I had had my tonsils out. I was 2 years old, and they gave me ether. Back then, before they had all the fancy anesthesia and stuff, they gave children ether, and they dripped it into a face mask. And I fought them at first, and when I went to sleep, they did everything. And then when I woke back up, I was in so much pain and freaked out and didn't know where I was that I actually walked out of my own body. I literally fell out of the bed and stood there staring around the room, but I wasn't in pain. And I thought, oh, this is good. And I looked at the room. I looked at the nurses. I walked into the hallway. I just walked around, and I was having a good time. And when I finally came back, my mother thought I was dead because I had just stopped moving everything. I went completely, totally still, and pale. And when I came back, I like, slammed into myself hard, and it was dragging my own breath. It was painful again. And I opened my eyes and I looked at her and I just said, I'm in pain. This hurts.
Aw.
And they put ice packs on my throat, and that helped. And I never forgot it. When a few months after that, and I was home and I was better, and I kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And I was in the bed, and I really, really, really wanted to have it happen again. And no kidding, it did. I popped right out of my own little body, walked out of the house, down into the yard, and I could feel the wind blowing in. I looked up at the sky and I was like, wow, this is totally cool. And I lifted my chin into the wind thinking, oh, this feels so good. And I suddenly started flying up. And that was cool. And when you're that young, any new experience is like joy, And it just went on from there. Every day, every year, every night, I would leave my body and just go places and do things. And I got very good at it. I became at will. I only felt the energy, the vibratory state when I had my tonsils out. That I felt. I remember it, distinctly remember it. It was electrical before I popped out. But after that, I've gotten to the point now where I don't really notice it's happening anymore. And I think that's just from doing it all the time. So I started, when ET made contact with me and I started joining with them and stuff, they can OBE as well. Everybody can. And so I got brought into some situations where that was part of what they wanted me to learn how to do, even though I already knew it. That remote viewing was coming in with that next. And I realized that, oh, I can remote view too. They didn't call it that. I had no clue that's what y'all call it. It's just a term, right? And I realized that I could be, if you were psychic and I wanted to communicate with you, you would hear me or see me, but it was them doing it with me, not a human being on this planet. And nobody I went around could hear me or see me. Nobody. Every now and then I thought my father did, but the next day he wouldn't admit to it, So long story short, one day, Michael hit, Hurricane Michael hit us in Panama City, and it peeled our house like a banana. It totally devastated the whole house. It had to be totally rebuilt. And we were staying in an Airbnb, living in one, literally, while this was going on. And I was on the phone with somebody in the middle of the night, 3:30 in the morning. Every now and then somebody will call me and ask me for medium help, And I'm on the phone with him, and I've got his grandmother coming through to me at the same time, and I'm very occupied. And I looked to my right, and standing there was Preston Dennett. And
Surprise!
I was like, holy cow. And it didn't look like him, like he was on TV, because I hadn't met him physically yet. It was him, like buff young guy, long hair, the whole thing. And I'm staring at him and I'm like, I can't talk to you right now. I got Robert on the phone. And he went, gone. I thought, what was that? I mean, I know I can see people OBE physically, and apparently I saw him.
Yeah.
He went into shock when I looked at him and said what I said. And so I called him the next day, and we're talking on the phone. I'm not going to lead up to this right away. I want him to say something, but he didn't. He was tight mouthed. And I finally had enough, and I said, I saw you last night. And he went, you did? Now, this is the researcher talking to me, okay? And he said, what did I say? Or what did you say to me? And I said, I can't talk to you right now. I'm on the phone with Rob. Well, what he thought he heard me say was, I'm being robbed, and that upset him, and he was gone. And it freaked him out. It's like, oh my God, you heard and saw me. And apparently he didn't tell me why that was so effective to him, but and I thought, okay, I'm going to go visit him and surprise him. Turned out it's fair play. So I waited, I don't know, a week or two or something like that, and showed up in his room in the middle of the night, and standing there staring at him going, hey, and he saw me,
I love it.
And
Yeah.
it was on from
I
there,
sure did.
absolutely on from there, because I could hear him and see him, and he could hear and see me. And that's when he finally explained to me, nobody's ever been able to do that with him, ever. Not yet, anyway. I thought,
And
okay.
and this show has the term wild stories in it. Before we got on the air, you mentioned that you had gone somewhere to see giants. Talk about that.
Go for it, Preston.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, it's funny. Meeting Dolly, I thought, I'm just going to go OBE and see if she'll see me because I have done it with my brothers and sisters and friends. No one can see me. You're an actual ghost, and it's frustrating and spooky and weird. And it actually made me question my sanity a few times, even though I knew it was real because I'd proved it to myself by doing exactly what you were talking about, Augie. I went to a location I'd never been to and then drove there. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's real. I know it's real. So I went and saw Dolly, and boy, she got a look of surprise in her face. She rolled around and looked at me. And when she said, oh, I'm being robbed, I thought, oh my God, that's horrible. Pulled me back. And yeah, I look a little different. I'm very young out of body. I used to have beautiful hair. You might not know it, but I did. And I worked out quite a bit. And so when I pop out of body, I'm young, I've got long hair, and I'm very, buff.
That's so
So
cool.
yeah, it's really cool. I love it. So
That's so
yeah, I
cool.
woke up one evening shortly after that to my room filling with golden light. And I thought,
Mm.
oh, this is weird. Am I, are the ETs here? No, it was Dolly. She was standing next to my bed, leaning over, smiling, like, and looking, of course, gorgeous. She looks gorgeous now, but she had when people are out of body, they have this glow about them. They look so good. And
Mm.
that's when she started taking me on a few adventures. I mean, we would go together, and she'd like, come on, let's go. And one some I don't remember. There's a few she took me on where I don't remember. But I do remember this. She took me into this giant cavern, like a cave, and there were giants there. And when I say giants, I mean more than twice my height. I would say about 15 feet tall, and very muscular and very, not abnormal looking by any means, but craggy, and they looked like giant Vikings. Big red hair beards. They had gold bands on their arms. They were wearing leathers. They had boots that were strapped up. And I am, thinking, okay, I'm out of body. I walk up to them. These darn things could see me. They saw me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh. And so I started running around in circles and, trying to avoid because they were trying to hit me. And that's when Dolly kind of had to take charge. But I looked up giants trying to find an image, and I finally found one. I'm like, yes, this is exactly what giants used to exist on our planet. And to see them, because I had become interested in that, it really shocked me to find out, years and years into my research into all these subjects, that giants were real. And Dolly took me to see them, and it was so cool. But I still don't fully understand how they could see us, Dolly.
Oh, well, they're psychic. Uh,
Yeah.
it is when you're out of your body, your consciousness, who you are, your soul that you're taking out, is interdimensional at that point. You're an interdimensional being, whether you realize it or not. And so you come out of the 3D. You're in. There's no arrow of time for you anymore, and you can see everything from beginning to end, and you can witness for yourself what has happened in the past all the way toward the future. It's harder to get to the future. You have to be really good or really wise or really ascended to make it into the future like that. And I wanted you to see that we are all, there's so many iterations of humanity on this planet. And I was taking you back to a really old one. And so I wanted him to see, because he's always talking about things like that. And I wanted him to see that they existed, they're real. The reason that they can see us is when you're fully out of the body and you come up against somebody who's psychic, very, very psychic. They bloody can see you like you're really there. And I mean, we see ghosts all the time. It's the same thing. They were seeing us like a ghost, and it freaked them out. And he did. He ran around inside. They reach in and grab him and pull him up. It is amazing to me that that happened, but it was a good lesson for us both, me showing him and him learning, that this is real, and understanding that he could do it for himself too, right? And he was like, oh my God. But you can witness anything OBE, anything you want to. That's one of the joys of going OBE, because you're not constrained by time at all. You can see everything from the beginning to all the way out, 360, all of it. The universe is vast, and I've learned to accept the fact that it's thinking all the time. It's like the all mind is what God is. And there's nothing you can't figure out when you're OBE. It's like the greatest, coolest thing you could ever do for yourself. I mean, if you have questions, you ask them. If you're OBE, you'll get answers, you'll get shown. It's way better than a classroom here. I mean, our ability as a wisdom gathering and understanding and spirituality and all of this stuff, the above, would elevate us so much more if we learn to do this as a regular thing every day in our lives. And it's one of my goals is to help people understand this, it's important. You have the ability.
I
You
read
can
that there
do
were
it.
healing. I read that there were healing temples on the other side. Thought, you know what? I've never done that. That's kind of my MO. I'm like, if I can read about it and these people did it, surely I can do it. And I was working full time, driving through LA traffic and feeling run down. So I thought, let's just go to a healing temple next time I pop out of body. Because if you have a plan, you're going to be much more successful. If you don't, you're going to pop out of body and probably fall into a dream or but if you have intention and a plan and a goal, it works so much better.
Yeah.
So I popped out of body. I'm like, I learned I don't ask to go to a temple. I go now. I go now to a healing temple. Really intent and forceful. And boom, I teleported into the higher realms, and it was this beautiful nature scene, and there's giant domed building. Well, it looked small, but as I flew up to it, it was huge. And I went through the ceiling or whatever, and it was a giant auditorium, and I laid down on the floor, which was a grid crosshatch pattern, which is kind of, like an apple pie, at the top of an apple pie, kind of. And
Yes.
these gosh, it's so hard to explain stuff because there's no terms for it. But these bars were going one way vertically and the other way horizontally, and emitting energy. And I'm lying down, kind of spread eagled on it, looking up at these walls, which were emitting the kind of light you can't see here on Earth.
Wow.
It's divine light. And the walls were filigreed with these beautiful designs. And the energy was pouring on me. And I started looking at these designs. I'm like, I'm not worthy, is how I felt. I am not worthy. This is beauty that far surpasses my ability to even look at it. That's how beautiful it was. More beautiful than anything I've ever seen. So I started crying, and it just got too much. But I told Dolly about that, and she's like, I don't know if I've ever gone to a healing temple. And she did. It was a little different for her, but there are healing temples on the other side. I've got 20 cases I know of where people have healed themselves of physical illness, sometimes chronic, sometimes little things, colds or flus or whatever, but serious diseases.
You mentioned that. Nori, go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead.
You mentioned that when you were out of body, somebody physical can see you. And I tell you, that is actually real. For those of that wonder, we always hear that we cannot look into the astral realms or our higher vibrations, but they can see down in vibration more easily. But some can train themselves to see the higher vibrations. And I had an experience like that, and that was kind of off the charts too. And that was, I wanted to find a ship in space and go there and visit. And I spent probably about 10 minutes just standing outside. I walked to the edge of town here, which is about a mile away, and then I stood there looking up into the sky, and I started visualizing this ship. And when I opened my eyes, I saw this light going across and stopped. I figured, that's not the way it's supposed to be. So I sat down. There was a place to sit there, and I sat down, and I went through my ritual, and I left my body, and I went up, and I could towards that light, and I could see it getting bigger and bigger, and I got up real close. I got really close to it. It was kind of like a cigar tape, but it was round, but it was oblong, I guess the word is. And I stopped outside, and I asked, can I enter? And I didn't hear anything, but I had the feeling, and whether it was a word or a feeling, I'm not sure, but come in. And I went through the wall, and I was inside of that thing, and there were people looking just like me, but they had these tunics on, and they were tight, around the neck, and they had insignias on. And they were doing things, and they did not see me at first, but I stood there for a while because this was foreign. And I started moving around the ship because it was a little curved and there were more than one floor to it. So I moved around there, and I was kind of a little bit nervous, I suppose, but not bad. I thought it was really interesting, but there was one guy. We locked eyes, me and him. He saw me. And I had the feeling that whether that was I don't remember if it was words or the feeling that you do not belong here. So I took the message as for it was, and I left. And I've done this another time with another ship that was a big circular one. I got in, and you can see amazing things on those ships. And on the one of them, I got down in the cockpit on the cigars. The cockpit is not on front; it's underneath, in front. So there was really not much there. There was just few chairs and a kind of a flat surface that had images. There were star charts and things like that. It was foreign to me. I'm not really sure what it was, but I could see this was the cockpit where they were actually flying the thing from. And being a pilot, that was kind of interesting to me. So, but then I left again, and I really haven't done that since. But a little bit later, I want to hear if any of you guys has been on board a ship. And later, I'm going to tell you also, when I went to the moon, I found the human base up there. I can talk about that too. But have you guys been on a ship like this?
I have. I because I'm away from them right now, physically away from them. I will go search them out, and it's my craft that I'm looking for. I go to them, and Talata knows that I'm out coming, and I won't go. I don't go to the place of movement. I go to where my quarters are, and I just sit in my quarters and commune with Talata or Mama if she's on board. It's a big deal for me to do that because they are moving, they're interdimensional at that point, they're going, and I'm having to keep up with them astrally while we're doing that. They don't stop for me, they keep going. And so I only have about 5 or 10 minutes with them, and then I'm pulled back. Basically, it's mind missing them horribly that I do that. I just need to be with them every now and then. And every now and then they'll give me messages, or I'll get information that I need to know when I come back. Kind of keeps me flattened down emotionally about what I'm doing here and why. And then there was a couple of times where I was one of my experiences. I was on the beach July 4th, 2014. And down the beach, we saw after 1 o'clock in the morning, we saw 4 craft coming in and landing, or going down and then coming back up and going back out to sea. And it was over and over and over again. And I'm like, who are you? And this was a type of OBE. I had to remote view to them for them to hear me. And one broke off and came up to me, and we had a face-to-face. When he came over my head, I was actually able to perceive the inside of the craft and them while we were communicating for a minute. And it was very, very fast. He just said, I can't tell you why we're here. Nope. I was like, okay. And he said, don't worry about it. And he went. And my poor cousin didn't see or hear any of it. She was too busy being like this. And it freaked her out afterwards. And so I know I can do that. I've done the reverse of that. When I'm on board, I can remote view down on the ground when we're going places. I'll remote view to an area that we're about to go to, and I'll go look to see what's going on in that area. We call, how, in my mind, this is what I call it. When you see a whale come up and he's, spy hopping. They come up, they fluke, and they can see everything above, and they're just checking what's going on. I do that in the reverse. I come down, and I'm doing that on the ground, just looking before I go in. It's me making sure it's okay. I'm not going to come up against something I don't want. And but yeah, that's what I do. And it's basically only thing that I do. I don't like go looking for anybody or anything, because they're so busy, and it's them moving so much. So I have a feeling, Augie, if you caught up with 2 of them, they slowed down for you, they stopped, and they were curious that you were doing what you were doing as you were, what was going on there. That's what I think, because generally it's very fast. There's not much communication going on, and they, so I think that the entity who flies the craft is the one you ran into. Okay. And he was just letting okay, we know you're here, that you don't need to be here right now, and yay, thank you. And that kind of thing. Generally, when they're busy, and you don't know what's going on, so it's hard to catch them. So kudos to you for catching a couple of them. That's amazing, because it's not easy to do. It's not easy at all.
Never done that, actually. I did see a gray once when I was OBE. I was trying to get to the higher realms. And for me, how I do it is once you get there, you kind of know, you just kind of aim for it. But sometimes there's this weird barrier between like the lower dimensions and the upper dimensions, which is kind of foggy. And I don't know, it's hard to describe. Sometimes I just kind of burst right through it. Other times it takes me a little bit. It was taking me a while, and I'm going through this sort of in-between realm, I guess. And there's lots of fog and mists, and I'm moving pretty fast when I see these 2 little dark dots. I'm like, what's that? I'm getting closer and closer and closer, and I realize, that almost looks like eyeballs. And I get real close to it, and this thing was clearly waiting for me, because it was right in my line where I was going. And right as I get right up to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a gray. This is a gray alien. And it startled me. I wasn't what I would call frightened, but I'm like, wow. Because this guy, he's a cute little guy. He turned, and his head swivels as he watches me go by. And I kind of look at him. I'm like, hey, dude. Well, it was a little gray. And now
Dolly's like, when you told me this.
She's like, why didn't you stop? I'm like, I don't know. I regret it now. I should have stopped. I could have talked to him. It would have been so
conversation cool. And you didn't do it. Dang it. I know. It's like,
but it was shocking. I did not expect it. But yeah, I saw a little gray OBE. That's really the only time. I mean, there was one where I was in a ship, yes, and there was a lady there who had just read her book about her near-death experience. But it was very vague, and I just don't know enough to say that it was real. But it was a tiny little round room, and she was there. I'm like, whoa. And I looked down, and we were flying over Topanga, my hometown. Could have been real, but I just I didn't bring enough detail back to really confirm it in my own mind. because I'm a
Interesting.
little skeptical of things. Finding out all of this was real, kind of made me really need to dig deep and verify things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Dolly, Julie in the chat, hi Julie, was wondering, do you know where the ETs were from that
Yes.
you?
Yeah, they are from the tall grays that I work with are from the Orion system. And if you look at in the sky at Orion's belt, you'll see the three stars. And if you're looking at it, the star on the right, you'll see another star below that, a little bit further down. And it's that star cluster that they're from. That's where they hail from. And I know that Zeta Reticuli is in the Orion system as well. And there is another type of ethnicity of gray that lives in the Zeta Reticuli. And they're pretty cool. I know that there's another set of ethnic grays. They're all related to one another somehow, but they're vastly out there together. Would be, if you look up the sky, not everything is a flat map that you can point to in the sky. Everything is just as 3D in the physical universe. So you're not looking at something that's right together. They're like this. And there are other constellations that you can't see because they're behind the ones that that you can see. And one of them is in the Delphi system, which is behind the Pleiades. And it is a group of stars out there that hold life and planetary life. And one of them, two types of ethnic ET are out there. It is another type of gray that's actually more waterbound than we are. They're swimmers. They live in the sea mostly, and then those that live on land are more. You would refer to them like Lemurians. They have the Asian aspect to their looks, or Polynesian aspects in that cluster up there too. And there's more, like there's more different places. Some of us that we have contact with here over the centuries that they've been coming and going are not even in our universe. They're in another universe nearby. So, and it's not Andromeda, not at all. It's way the heck out there, and I couldn't even begin. I'd have to give you call letters, and you go look it up, and it's like it's not worth it. Just imagine another universe that's about 365 light years away from this universe. This galaxy out there further, and so it's pretty cool, and it would be on the other side of Ceres as we look at it in the sky. And there are plenty out there. Our whole universe is full of people and different things. And we have contact with about a solid 16 different types of ET over the centuries that we've, the entire eons that we've been on this planet. And even before that, the Anunnaki are one of them. They're not from this galaxy at all. They come from another galaxy. And they don't really come here anymore because our gravity has gotten so bad that they can't, it's too hard on them because they're huge. They're giants, huge giants. And we're related to them. They bred in with us, just like the tall whites bred in with us and the tall grays bred in with us. We're all kind of related to one another, whether you realize it or not. And so it's interesting. Please notice that I don't use the word race or species. Humanity itself is a species altogether, and they're in that same species with us. So they're not a different species. They're humanoid. They're human, like we are. We can interbreed with one another. We look alike. We all have the same 5 points of, we're bipedal, we have hands, we have fingers, we breathe the same way, we have same blood types, that kind of thing. We're all very, very related to one another. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It's so interesting to want to get to know them. This I'm just going to blow your mind with. If you OBE, you can meet any one of them you want, because once you make it to that ability, they'll hear you, they'll see you, you can join in with them, because we all come from the same source. We're all together. They're us, we are them, we're all one. Not only just in the physical universe, but in the outside of that, in everything. And they're contactable. We're not just born here, we're born there too. You recycle not just on Earth, you can recycle anywhere in the universe you want to go. You would learn that if you could, if once you learn to OB and you can ask those questions.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Augie.
No.
I was just saying how awesome that all of this is. Yeah.
All right. I know for a fact that the United States government do believe these things are real, because this is quite a while ago. I have never been to the White House in Washington. It's always fascinated me, that place. So on one of the journeys out of the body, I was going to go and visit. So I got up close, and I probably got within, I don't know, maybe 100 meters or 30 feet, 300 feet, maybe less. But when I got this close, there were two other astral travelers that came out, and they met me, and they did like this. And it was very clear they didn't want to let me pass and get in. And I left because I thought about it. If somebody got in there, they could get into a classified meeting, and that could be considered
Exactly correct.
spying, So
Yeah.
now that dawned on me, so I left. And I left them alone. I've never been there since. But I did mention the moon, and that's kind of an interesting one that I wanted to say. I have a map on the moon. All the craters, or at least the big ones, they are named. One of the craters is called the Schrödinger crater. In there, there's a building, and that building is formed just like a swastika. And there's a NASA print that, in fact, Nori and I did a documentary 5 years ago about that. We showed that and other 20 pictures of things on the moon. So if you go to Broadcast Team Alpha and on YouTube and scroll down about 5 years, you can find the moon pictures. You can see them.
Yes.
Do you know the history of that symbol? Do you know the history of that symbol?
Tell us, Dolly.
It's the Nazis adopted it.
Yes. Yeah, they turned around the arms on it. That's why it reversed
actually
the energy.
The Basque had exactly that exact symbol, and all the way back. Even the Jewish nation has that symbol in their history and their temples.
It's an old religious symbol, and this building
actually it's a part of mathematics, and it's to show it's an energy symbol. It can be considered spiritual because it is a psychic symbol as well. And Hitler was trying to understand who ET was, and he was trying to stupidly believe that they were the master race because they were more related than anybody else. He was that crazy and that paranoid, and he adopted that symbol for that reason. And he developed a whole new religion amongst the people there for a while, and he shoved it down everybody's throats. Because he was trying to say that we are going to ascend. We are going to be the ones who go off this planet, and nobody else is going to make it. And he knew what was coming. That's why that symbol. It is unnerving to me that people nowadays here believe that that symbol means something that it's not. And because it is associated now with racism. It's associated with hate and regimes like Hitler's and whatever. And it is not. That is not what that symbol represents. Yeah. And they've turned it into something really, really vile and bad. And so if there's a building on the moon with that, it's going to make everybody think, and they might come out with that information. They might show that, because you're right, that building does exist. And it is shaped like that, and it's eons old, before our time, before our iteration of 12,000 years. It's been there since before that. It's been there since before, other things, before the pyramids, all of that. It's very, very old, and it just makes me sad that just talking about it can set people off without knowledge, without understanding what that really is. And it
Yeah.
is ET.
Well,
ET
most
brought
people.
those symbols to us to teach us about energy, to teach us about spirituality, to teach us about all things good. And we have turned it into something vile and bad. And we need to wake up to the fact that we have stinking thinking about this symbol. We really, really do. And we can't keep calling the kettle black, you know. Hitler was a bad man, and I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he burned himself out and went away, and his whole regime failed. You know, I'm glad we stood up to that. But we can't keep calling people those names anymore. We can't keep using the thinking or the ideology of that and be spiritual, you know, or be understanding of what maturity is and wisdom is. Because there's no wisdom in what's going on with that now, that symbol and how we're treating one another. Because we're, once again, race has become the defining definition of why we're all different, and we're not. You know, we have to stop
Yeah.
that. And it's one of the things I try really hard, and information is important. And yes, there is a base on the moon that's shaped like that. Definitely is. And it's down in a crater.
Yeah.
You're exactly
And
right. You know, but
I,
it's old, 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 old.
Well,
I mean, we're talking 35, 38,000 years old.
wow.
yeah,
That's
Wow.
time.
Well,
I still want to tell you that story about the moon.
Okay. I want to hear. I want to hear.
And the I left the body, and going to the moon is pretty simple. It doesn't take long. In a very short time, you can get there. And I knew from the map where that crater was. And this is an old NASA print that showed a building, so I knew what it would look like. And I found it. It was sitting right in the bottom of the crater, off to one side a little bit. And I went down, right down to the ground, and I went through the wall of the building and inside of it. The biggest part of it is empty because it's over a mile long, and they have rebuilt. The Nazi Germans have rebuilt one section of it, and that's where one of their bases are, and there may be more, I don't know that, but this one, and there were Germans in there, as they would look 70 years ago. The German uniforms are still used, and I was floating around, I was just looking at things, and there were nothing really going on in there. The part that I was, there was more like desks and people doing stuff like that. And I got to think about that. We're told that there is no air on the moon, right? Wrong. There's air. In fact, it's about equivalent to about 16,000 feet on Earth or something like that. But I also ran into one person in there that saw me. And I felt there was either anger or something similar vibration I got from him, and I suddenly did not feel safe anymore. So I left again. But they are right there. If you guys out there watching this, write to NASA, tell them you need a print of the Schrödinger crater. It's likely that it has been smudged, but you will see that because the ground is normally kind of, roughed up. But if it's smudged, it's perfectly smooth. So if it is, that's where the swastika is lying, because they covered it up.
How long ago did you do this?
So again?
When did you do this? How long ago was it?
Probably 25 years. Something like that. I was still in Omaha, so that's 26 years.
It concerns me because one of the things that I know about what's happening to us right now is with our sun doing what it's doing and our magnets, all our poles are changing. And it's made us all vulnerable to the radiation coming from space. It absolutely kills, and there's no hiding from it. It can go right through a planet and kill you in the center of the Earth or in the center of the moon. It doesn't matter. the moon is not 100% within the effects of our magnetosphere. It's outside of it. And not completely, it's in a little bit, but it's in the most vulnerable spot. And with our magnetosphere down 40%, the moon is now wide open to gamma radiation, which means within a week, any human life on that planet, on the moon right now, a week is long enough for you to start suffering the consequences of it and begin the moments of your death would come very rapidly. We're popping off CMEs. We had 4 a day and a half ago. We had the first rise last night. We were KP8. We have another one coming tonight. We'll be KP8 as well, and another one tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. This is enough to fry you on the moon. We're more protected than the moon is. So if there is life on the moon right now, it is gone. It's dead. It died. It cannot survive that. That's why ETs are not here right now. They left. It is unsafe to be in our solar system, 100% unsafe. It's the only reason I'm not flying is they left. This is verifiable information. This is pure science that I'm speaking to you right now. You look up the fact that all gamma radiation absolutely kills all life. It's true. You can't take hit after hit after hit from it on an extended basis and survive it. We are now in an extinction level process on this planet from it. We have animals dropping dead all over the place. We have animals grounding and pushing themselves out because they don't know where to go, because our whole magnetism of our planet is so screwed up. I wouldn't worry about the moon, because if they were there or are there, they're all dead. Every last one of them. They made a bad choice to be there.
Yeah. Gosh, I see that we are down towards the end of the show here, and there's about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
So I do want to ask a question. Dolly, right. How can we reach you? I mean, are you teaching classes or academy? Or
I've thought about it. Preston and I have done it. We're doing the light gate right now, and we've been working on Symmetry too. And we're also prepping. Y'all need to be prepping. We have a lot coming at us. I'm thinking about it. It might be like after January. I just want to get past January. I still have a couple of things to go and do, physically go and do other places for other things. And then I thought, okay, I might do this. And what I might do is like Preston puts a show out every Friday. And I thought, well, I could put one out on Wednesday or Thursday. We could stagger it beside the light gate, because it's a lot of work to do that, and just start teaching a class and begin at the beginning of it and work my way through. I don't want to do it alone, because Preston is so much better at teaching OBE than I am. I'm so used to doing it my way, and it's not necessarily, because I learned it on my own, I don't necessarily have the ability to teach the techniques that he learned, and there's plenty out there to learn. And he even put out a thing. You should ask him. He'll send it to you, So I bow to his expertise in teaching this. I can teach about spirituality. I can teach about, what's going on with us. I know I can teach you ways to get yourself ready to learn how to do all this, the physical requirements of it. Right. And there are some physical requirements. We can't just, because we've been so toxified and we're not drinking the right water, and our bodies have taken a lot of bad energy and stuff. So I can talk about that. And I thought about doing that. There's also a thing is like, I want to teach people how to use their psychic abilities. That is paramount, because with that, you ease into OBE and remote viewing and all the other stuff. Once you realize that you're psychic and you're operating at a certain level, and you turn the volume up on it, and learn what that is. So I thought about that's what I'm going to do,
probably a few videos on her YouTube channel. So there's a couple there.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
And I can send anyone a 2-page guide on how to OBE. Just email me. My email is super easy to remember. It's prestonufo@gmail.com. I've refined it down to 2 pages, 10 steps, but you have to do the steps. There's the rub. You actually do need to put forth the effort. But it will work. It's absolutely, anyone can do this. It's perfectly safe. You're already doing it. It's as safe as sleeping. It really, really is. And the benefits are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I want to address one more thing
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
What happened to you that you stopped doing the OBEs?
I felt like I was having some kind of struggle,
Mhm.
and I was physically exhausted. I mean, when I finally got back and woke up, I felt like I was physically exhausted, and I don't know if I was trying to, think my way back into my bed, or I don't know, because like I did quit. But now listening to you, and of course being in the presence of your energy, I'm thinking of all these times now where I think I've done it.
You have everybody OBEs. Every single person on this planet goes OBE every night. Why would you stay in your body all night long while your physical body and your mind are sleeping? Your
Right.
consciousness, who you really are, is there. It's got
Yeah.
better things to do than just lay there all night long. And so you go out, you leave.
And
So
there are
yeah, you're
techniques to get back
OBE.
in your body easily. There are
Yeah.
little things you can do.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
the universe have a safety valve. It doesn't matter wherever you are, you always find your way home to the
Yeah, you've
physical
got
body.
the silver cord.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank
Absolutely.
you both so much. This was so wonderful. I'm so grateful. Really good information, and I'd like to have you back again in the not too distant future, and like really let's get into the details of the OBE, both from your perspective, Dolly, who just came to the planet with it, and then with Preston's incredible
Yeah.
um researcher
Yeah. So
ability.
right. So one of the things that I wanted to do when I started teaching is bring people in who know what they're doing. And so Augie, will you want to be one of my first people that I bring in, and we'll talk about the methodology of psychic ability and walking in out of OBE? You want to do that with me? That would be cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a good
definitely. All
idea.
right.
Yep,
Yeah. If we get more people
absolutely.
talking about it, and then like go into roundtables with it, and get everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because psychic
Yes.
ability has to be practiced. OBE has to
Yes.
be practiced. And if we all work together and work back and forth together, it's like your mom teaching, it's like a teacher teaching a classroom. We all got this homework. We're going to work together. We're going to have assignments, and everybody who has, all the teachers who know how to teach this all need to get together and help everybody out and spread it around, you know?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And one more thing you got to do, go to
Uh,
Amazon, put
yep.
Preston Dennett in the search bar, and look at those 42 books, because there is one in there I know you can't live without,
Or
because
40. One
they
more.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
amazing what he's got. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And if you are watching us on YouTube right now, please subscribe. That'll help us a lot. And until next time, be good to each other.